Hello and welcome to the State Draft. I am Purva Chitnis and I have along with me Manasi Phadke, who is our Deputy Editor. Today in this episode of the State Draft, we will be discussing about the Maratha agitation impact on Maharashtra elections, especially in the Marathwada region. Now, Marathwada region, as we all know, it is in fact the region that is mostly water stressed. It is in the news because of drought conditions, and it is also known for its sugar-rich, cane-rich region. Now, there are in total 8 constituencies in Marathwada region, and 3 of those constituencies, that is Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, formerly known as Aurangabad, Beed and Jalna, these 3 constituencies will go into vote on the 13th of May, that is in the 4th phase. And also the rest of the constituencies have already voted in the 2nd and the 3rd phase. Now, which are those different constituencies in Marathwada? Well, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, Jalna, Beed, then Hingoli, Latur, Nanded, Parbhani and Usmanabad, which is now known as Dharashiv. Now, these constituencies are important, and the reason we are discussing these constituencies is because last year in Marathwada, the Maratha agitation protest began, and that in fact has been the talking point for the last 1 year in Maharashtra. And what is the impact of those agitations? We'll be discussing all of that. Manasi?
Yeah, could you also talk about, as of 2019, which party represented what share of Marathwada?
Yes, definitely. In fact, as we know, in 2019, it wasn't a very good year for the Congress and NCP, which were in alliance in 2019. And most of these constituencies, that is 7 out of 8 constituencies, were won by the Shiv Sena and BJP alliance. Now, Shiv Sena, undivided Shiv Sena and BJP were in alliance in 2019, and except for Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, that is Aurangabad, which was won by AIMIM's Imtiaz Jalil, all the 7 were won by the alliance. Now, out of which Hingoli, Parbhani and Dharashiv were won by Shiv Sena, and Beed, Jalna, Nanded and Latur were won by BJP.
Alright, so the reason we are having this unusual 2% state draft is because Purva has travelled to certain districts of Marathwada and I have travelled to some other districts of Marathwada, and together from our collective experience we'll try and make sense of exactly to what extent will the Maratha agitation impact this particular Lok Sabha election. So the Maratha agitation, just as a backgrounder, the demand for a Maratha quota dates back to almost the 1980s. But last year, when Manoj Jarange Patil sat on a hunger strike and one lathi charge on his agitation kind of just blew up the protest, making him an overnight poster boy of the Maratha quota issue. That kind of snowballed and has been a major talking point in Maharashtra politics. Now, Manoj Jarange Patil was initially simply demanding a quota for the Maratha community in government jobs and education. However, standalone quota has faced several legal troubles. Successive governments have tried to implement a standalone quota, and also the current incumbent Eknath Shinde-led government also passed a resolution in the assembly to implement a standalone quota for the Maratha community. But whether it stands the test of law, the verdict is still out on it. Manoj Jarange Patil, however, somewhere in the middle of his agitation started demanding that if a standalone quota is not possible, then accommodate us Marathas under Kunbis who get reservation under the other backward classes category. Now, the argument that several leaders from the Maratha community and some historians also make is that all Marathas were originally Kunbis. So over time, the Marathas started seeking lineage with the warrior groups, adopting a more Kshatriya identity, while the Kunbis remained in the Shudra fold. In fact, under the Mandal Commission recognized Kunbis as OBCs but left out the Marathas. So Manoj Jarange Patil has been demanding that all Marathas be given reservation as Kunbis under the OBC category. This has severely upset the OBC population across the state, especially in Marathwada. So sometime around November last year, I travelled to Marathwada, particularly in the Jalna district where Manoj Jarange Patil stays, and where Antarwali Sarati, where the village in which he started his agitation, is located. To understand the social dynamics between the Maratha and the OBC community, and to what extent has the demand for inclusion, demand of the Maratha community for inclusion under the OBCs fractured, relationships between the two communities. And what I realized at that time was that, while subtle discrimination by affluent Marathas towards OBCs had always existed, by and large, until that point, the OBCs had supported the demand for a standalone Maratha quota, and OBCs had coexisted peacefully with their Maratha counterparts, both communities participating in each other's festivals, there being best of friends among both communities, children playing freely. But ever since the Maratha community strongly started demanding reservation under the OBC category, the two groups became extremely fragmented. So the ground situation was that relations between the two groups were extremely cold. Children were no longer playing with each other. They were no longer participating in each other's festivals or community activities, not even speaking to each other anymore. In this backdrop, there was also consolidation happening by OBC groups, leaders from across political parties who had several rounds of protests in different places of Maharashtra, including in Jalna. And all of this pointed to the possibility of political consolidation, within these two groups. So as a result, when campaigning for the election started in full force early April, we decided to revisit this region, and Purva travelled across Jalna and Parbhani to understand to what extent have these animosities impacting the voting choices of the two groups. And she'll talk more about what she found there. She also interviewed Manoj Jarange Patil, so if you could also talk about that a little bit.
Yes, definitely. I think the whatever you found in November, things have not really changed in April when we visited. In fact, if at all, they went from bad to worse. As Mansi was also discussing, there has been a consolidation of these groups. Now, in Maharashtra, Marathas have always dominated politically. They have been the political class, and especially in those villages, the Marathwada villages that I traveled extensively, and so did Mansi. What we found is that there have been a consolidation, and OBCs have, especially the OBC community, has said that if at all neither of the Mahayuti or the Mahavikas Aghadi, these two major alliances in Maharashtra, if neither of the alliances put up the OBC candidate, then we will put up our own candidate as well. And that is what has happened as well, because in many places what we see across in those 8 seats, mostly the Mahavikas Aghadi has come up with Maratha candidates in most of these seats, whereas if we look at Mahayuti, it has been a 50-50 for Mahayuti. They are putting up Maratha candidates, as well as the OBC candidates are also there. But one tricky seat that is going into polls on 13B, that is, there you have a Maratha versus OBC face-off, if you can.
Yeah, so I travelled to Beed just a couple of days ago, and Beed is one seat which was held by Gopinath Munde, late BJP stalwart. He won the seat in 2009, 2014. Unfortunately, he passed away in an accident soon after the election, where he was also made a union minister but did not really get to occupy his position as a minister. So in Beed, his daughter Pankaja Munde, the BJP has replaced the incumbent MP Pritam Munde, who was Gopinath Munde's younger daughter, with Pankaja. Pankaja is fighting against Bajrang Sonawne, who belongs to the NCP Sharad Chandra Pawar faction. Pankaja, basically the Munde clan belongs to the Vanzari community, which is an OBC caste, and Bajrang Sonawne is a Maratha.
It is because of Gopinath Munde that the BJP was able to develop a following within the OBC community through the 1980s and 1990s.
Now Pankaja Munde is desperate to win this election because she had lost the 2019 assembly election to Dhananjay Munde, her cousin, who had walked out of the BJP in 2013 to join the undivided NCP at that time, because he thought that his uncle Gopinath Munde is not accommodating his ambitions in his larger legacy. But now Dhananjay Munde is on Pankaja's side because he is part of the Ajit Pawar led NCP faction. So his cadre, his supporters are also campaigning for Pankaja, which is a boost for her. After losing to Dhananjay Munde, the 5 years for Pankaja was sort of turbulent within the party because she was not accommodated as an MLC, and there were a number of times when she felt snubbed by the party or overlooked by the party for certain positions. So there's a lot at stake for her in this election, but there are considerable Maratha headwinds. In a couple of places where she has gone for campaigning, she was shown black flags by members of the Maratha community. Some members of the Maratha community have also been slamming her on social media. To such an extent that in one of her speeches at Patoda in a corner meeting, she actually said, "Am I somebody from Pakistan or Bangladesh that you're giving me this treatment? Am I not yours? Are there any vices in me? Why are you giving me this treatment?" So she's quite exasperated over the issue. In an interview with her, she also admitted that the Maratha factor is very strong, and she said that her opponent is trying to make the election entirely about caste. And she said she feels uncomfortable talking about caste. In meeting after meeting, she's going and telling people that this is not a national issue. Do not look at this issue for the Lok Sabha election. It is a state issue that will be settled in the state assembly, so on and so forth. So that's where the bead battle stands at. And if you can also talk about how Manoj Jarange Patil had initially wanted to field candidates of his own, and the kind of messaging that he is now giving to his followers.
Right. So when the entire agitation began, which is like last year in August, like end of August, and he was on a hunger strike, and that's when the state government resorted to a lathi charge on the protesting Maratha agitators, and that's when it just blew up. So post that, he went on multiple hunger strikes, and every time he was consoled by the government at that point that yes, we will look into your demands, and he would take back his hunger strike. And in the process, like 2-3 months in those process, he in fact became very close to Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. One of his hunger strikes, if you remember, was broken by the Chief Minister himself.
Yeah, a couple of them actually, by offering juice and water.
So it's been seen that okay, Manoj Jarange Patil was close to Eknath Shinde, because he in fact never said anything about Eknath Shinde, who also belongs, by the way, to the Maratha community. And he would always go on talking about the Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. And at one point of time in January, when Manoj Jarange Patil and the entire protest, where he said that you either give us the Kunbi certificates or we are going to come to Mumbai. At that point of time, the government was successful in stopping these protesters at the border of Mumbai, and that's when it was believed that okay, the Maratha agitators and the protesters are happy with the government, when the government said that yes, we will look into your demands, and we have started giving you Kunbi certificates of whoever in between. The Maharashtra government has also set up the backward class commission to look into this matter, and they started giving the
that and the draft notification for Sage Soere, which Manoj Jarange Patil had demanded. Basically, Sage Soere meaning that the Kunbi benefits should be extended to all relations by birth or by marriage, but within the same caste. So now a draft notification was issued at that point of time, and Manoj Jarange Patil sang praises of this government of Eknath Shinde as well at that time. But the notification received a lot of backlash from the OBC community, and currently the government says it's under consideration. So it's not a done deal. So that is what...
that is where the Manoj Jarange Patil now is going all out against the government, where in our interview as well, when I spoke to him in Jalna, that's where he said that I do not even trust the government. Like, as a protester, I have to trust the government, and so I have been trusting the government so far, but right now I do not have any trust on the government, because they have always went back on their word. So this time, in fact, initially he also said that he will put up Maratha candidates, like in this election in March. He said that he will put up Maratha candidates, but what he told me in fact is that they did the study, and they said that Jarange Patil said that they do not have the enough resources and the time to come up with candidates and prepare for the Lok Sabha election. But in fact, what he also said is that in the coming assembly election, which is sometime later this year for Maharashtra, that's when he is very serious of putting up his own candidates. So as of now in Lok Sabha, Maratha candidates are not put up by Manoj Jarange Patil, but definitely that is something that he said, that if the government doesn't agree to our demands, we are going to put up our candidates in the assembly elections.
And also for this election, his message to his community members is that you don't look at the party, look at which candidate is most likely to give us the best support in fulfilling our demand.
Right.
So that might impact voting here and there.
Yes. That's when, when I spoke to the Maratha community people in these different regions as well, they very much are rallying behind Manoj Jarange Patil, and what Jarange Patil's message is that look at the candidates who are going to fulfill our demands. They are definitely upset with the government, but whether that will impact the voting pattern or not, that is something we have to just wait for
Wait and
4th
see.
of June. But they are very much rallying behind Manoj Jarange Patil, and that's when in the beginning of the episode we said that there has been a consolidation of Maratha voters as well as the OBC voters.
And other than Bid, a couple of other tricky constituencies to watch out. One would be Nanded for sure, because Nanded has been the turf of the Chavan family, right from Shankarrao Chavan to his son Ashok Chavan, both former chief ministers. And the only time that the BJP managed to breach it was in 2019, when there was this massive Modi wave, and BJP's Pratap Chikhalikar managed to defeat Ashok Chavan. Now, when Ashok Chavan joined the BJP earlier this year and he was accommodated in the Rajya Sabha, the BJP thought that now, Nanded would be kind of a cakewalk for us. But on the ground, it's not really proving to be so. The battle is between Pratap Chikhalikar of the Mahayuti and one Vasant Chavan from Mahavikas Aghadi. But the swing factor here could be that the Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi of Prakash Ambedkar has put in a candidate from the Lingayat community. Now, typically the Lingayat community here used to rally with the BJP, but now that there is a candidate from the community, it's anybody's guess where the votes will go. Also, quite a few villages within Nanded had banned entry for Maratha politicians during the entire campaigning phase, with villagers going on record to say, especially for politicians from the Mahayuti, because the government has not fulfilled its promises to us. Other than Nanded, the other tricky seat could be Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, which is Aurangabad, formerly known as Aurangabad, where also I travelled, where two factions of the Shiv Sena are taking on each other. One is the Mahavikas Aghadi's Chandrakant Khaire from the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena, and Sandeepan Bumre from the Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena. And it's a triangular contest because the incumbent MP is Imtiaz Jalil from the AIMIM. Now, Imtiaz Jalil's campaign this time is very different, because he's not just appealing to the Muslims and Dalits like last time, but he is also sporting saffron flags and blue flags and yellow flags, talking about the Dhangar community, his support for the Maratha reservation, and is going out to show how he has support from all communities. In fact, the kite symbol of MIM in all their campaign material is in 4 different colors this time. It's in green, it's in saffron, it's in blue, and it's in yellow. Similarly, Chandrakant Khaire, Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena, is going all out to also appeal to the Muslim community of Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, which typically was the Congress's vote bank. Congress politicians, meanwhile, told me that they are finding it difficult to tell, to face the Muslim community on the name change issue, because the Muslim community of this city did not want the name to be changed from Aurangabad to Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. It was a sticky point for them. But Congress leaders are going to them and telling them, look beyond the name, and this fight is about the constitution and about changing the government and about preventing dictatorship, so on and so forth. So that's also going to be a tricky constituency to watch out for.
Last time, if you remember, Imtiaz Jalil, who also won with the support of Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi,
Yeah,
but
of
that
course,
is not there. So how is that
Vanchit
playing
has
out?
put up its own candidate. So
Okay.
then the Dalit votes are also likely to be split. So
Right.
in a way, we are talking about it as a triangular contest, but there is one more, significant candidate in the fray as well.
Even Jalna is going to be interesting because Jalna, as we discussed, this is exactly the point where the Maratha agitation began last year, and it's still a boiling point there. And that is where BJP's Rao Sahib Danve, who's incumbent MP, and he is also fighting against
Kalyan
Kalyan
Kale
Kale
from the
of
Congress.
Congress from Mahavikas Aghadi. So, of course, the political equations have changed this time around. It's Shiv Sena is split, NCP is split. So all these votes, which like the vote share that happened in 2019, that probably might not be reflected in 2024. It's going to be totally different, and how it's going to be played out, it's anybody's guess at this point of time. But yes, the Maratha agitation is definitely going to be a sticking point this time around. It's definitely something that we need to be watching out for, and also the consolidation of the votes, and how the Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi factor, which is not a part of Mahavikas Aghadi wanted it to Prakash Ambedkar to come into their fold, but that did not happen. So how VBA is going to play out, because last time, remember, they were responsible for at least 6 or 7 seats.
Yeah, cutting Congress's victory
yeah.
in at least a few seats.
So how that's going to be played out, that is also anybody's guess at this point of time.
But yeah, we'll know on 4th June for sure. Thank you so much for watching State Draft. I am Mansi Phadke with Purva Chitnis, and do keep tracking our videos where we bring to you more insight from our experiences on the ground.